Hey Daily Dosers, I'm Ellie Kerley and I'm the worship director for our Temecula campus. Thanks for joining us in this new series, Perfect 10, where we look at the 10 Commandments with a fresh perspective. I'm going to go a little rogue and I'm going to dive straight into our passage for today, Exodus 24 through 6. You shall not make for yourself an image in the form of anything in heaven above, or on the earth beneath, or in the waters below. You shall not bow down to them or worship them, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, punishing the children for the sin of the parents to the third and fourth generation of those who hate me, but showing love to 1,000 generations of those who love me and keep my commandments. So I was driving with my family the other day, and one of my 6-year-old twin boys says to his brother, "Brennan, you know if you don't keep your promises, God's going to curse you." I expected Brennan to immediately bust out the classic, "Mom, Bowden said God's going to curse me." But he didn't. When I asked Bowden what he was talking about, Brennan responded with, "Oh yeah, we learned that in church today. If you don't keep your promises, God will curse you. But if you do keep your promises, God will bless you." Obviously, that's not exactly what they were taught in church that morning. But regardless of that fact, I quickly tried to explain covenant, the Old Testament, and Jesus to them, but they had already moved on. As I was preparing for this daily dose, I realized their take on covenant and our passage for today have a similar theme: God's jealousy for his children. The reason God commands the Israelites to keep their covenant with him is the same reason he commands them to worship no one else but him, and why he has the same command for us. He will not come in second place to something he created. We were created to worship. In its simplest definition, worship means to ascribe worth to something. In the church, we do this a lot corporately through music, but that's not all worship is. Because of sin, our worship gets distorted and redirected toward created images instead of the Creator. Our hearts are prone to shift our affection from its rightful place. In our passage, God commands the Israelites to worship no one else but him, to not make images or erect statues that they bow down to instead of him. Idolatry won't work, and he knows it. We cannot worship God and something or someone else. We cannot serve two masters. He knows a divided heart cannot stand before him, and God knows what follows misplaced worship. He knows that generational bondage is the consequence to idolatry. He knows that generational blessing is the consequence to worshiping him and him alone. God knows that addiction, relational tension, and any host of other issues that we face are often the result of our misplaced worship. On the flip side of that, breaking these generational curses can be done through redirecting our hearts to him and obeying the commands he expects his children to obey. God gives these commands to protect the Israelites and future generations. Jesus reminds us of this mandate in the Gospels when he quotes Deuteronomy and says the greatest commandment is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and with all your strength. Our worship of God has to be exclusive and all-encompassing. He will not share it. Everything else we may be tempted to ascribe worth to is a counterfeit of the real thing. It is a cheap substitute for what our souls were made for. We were made to worship the Creator as his creation, to ascribe him worth, and to not fall for cheap substitutes. He is jealous for the hearts of his children, and he will not play second fiddle to anything he created. Today, I challenge you to ask the Lord to show you where you are misplacing your worship and get back in correct alignment with him. Creation, worshiping the Creator, and creating generations of God worshipers as a legacy. Have an amazing day. We'll see you tomorrow.